Yuri was an ugly, worthless girl who saw a skyscraper appearing in the distance and was summoned into a tournament dimension where she had to fight 7 divine candidates in a death match to awaken the new god. But as soon as she woke up and tried calling the police, a fat ass nearly slashed her in half. But she managed to barely get away until she ran onto an unstable bridge where she barely held on for her life. However, the fat ass continued chasing her across, so she kept running faster until she barely managed to get away and tried calling the police once again. However, she saw that her brother was calling her, but he screamed at Yuri to shut her worthless f***ing mouth before revealing that they were in a world of skyscrapers with all their exits blocked off. Just then, she saw an ugly bitch running away from another mask, so her brother screamed at her to stay out of his view, revealing that the mask's intentions weren't to kill them, but to drive them into despair. In that moment, the girl decided to passionately hug the ground, nosediving to somersault into the cement, and left only her splattered insides behind. However, as her brother told her to head towards the world's railgun, the fatso found her once again and caused her to fall on her fat ass, making her realize that she dropped her phone. So after he destroyed her phone and threw it off the edge of the building, the mask dragged her onto the floor and shoved his long sword down her face. But before he would end her pathetic life, a bullet pierced his head while another one shot his arm, causing the bastard to fall off the edge. Seeing the police officers, Yuri thought she would finally be safe, but the first officer tried checking to see if the mask was still alive. Musashita revealed that he'd always hated him for being a vegan, but now Yuri was about to be his meal, as a masked sniper watched from the distance. The officer told her to choose this sword or his sword, but as soon as the final button was removed, the sniper realized that he had seen Yuri before, so he fired his bullet, killing the moron in that moment. However, as he prepared his second bullet, Yuri began running away while the sniper purposely missed his shot, but tried to pierce her face through the wall. When Musashita tried begging for his life, the sniper shot him down once again, making her realize that he would kill her as well if she wasn't driven into despair. She thought this world was disgusting, but was determined to see her brother once more and searched the officer's body while the sniper was sucking on a cancer stick until he saw a fire in the distance. It was the officer's body being set on flames, but the sniper saw her portrait, wondering how he knew her name was Yuri. Just then, a maid with massive milkers appeared before her eyes. But as Yuri tried using the officer's pistol, the maid stepped back, before dashing towards the railing to leap across the edge, landing next to Yuri as she nearly slashed her down. However, Yuri realized that she couldn't hesitate to fire at the masks, but missed all of her shots as the maid evaded them, revealing that she wanted a different reaction. So realizing what she had to do, Yuri began saying that she would jump off the edge to hug the ground, before walking on the other side of the railing. She was sad that her life would be ending this soon, and told her that her name was Yuri Honjo before leaping off. As the maid tried checking to make sure she was dead, she had fallen for Yuri's trap, firing directly at the mask to collapse her onto the ground. But her fat cheeks were sore after taking the pounding of the impact. As she climbed back up, she saw that the maid had somehow survived, but the maid warned her that she couldn't control her brain. She begged her to never look at the back of any masks, and the artificial god issued her the final command, telling her to isekai herself because she was now damaged. Remembering her name was Yuri, she began crying as she begged her to continue living, before the mask forced her to leap off, breaking Yuri's mind as she saw her lifeless body. She wondered if she just killed someone, but Musashita's ghost began haunting her mind, telling her that she needed to keep killing if she wanted to live. However, she rejected becoming a murderer and realized that whoever controlled the masks was her only enemy, so she swore to survive until she defeated them. But as she tried heading towards the central tower, a helicopter began flying over her head, and the vibration of the wind caused the metal bearings to snap as Yuri realized that her life was about to end. No matter how hard she tried, she was unable to reach the other side, but realized that she could use her scythe and barely regained her balance. As she entered deeper into the building, she saw a girl who was shot down, before hearing another bullet going off. When she went to see where it came from, however, she saw a girl who wasn't wearing a mask, pointing her weapon down at a useless victim, and fired a bullet. However, the bullet was from Yuri, who shot the gun out of her hand, begging the girl not to kill him. Hearing those words, she let out a sly smile and rushed with her blade to stab the pathetic loser, before telling Yuri that she can pull the trigger now if she can. After all, there was only one spot in the helicopter to escape this world, so she would kill anyone who stood in her way. But as Yuri began wondering if she could kill another person, she began crying, begging her to stop, and said that she would allow her to take the helicopter. However, she saw the sniper aiming from behind, and barely pushed the girl out of the way before firing back at him. After taking cover, the girl wondered how she was able to control her emotions within an instant. So when Yuri asked for her name, she introduced herself as Mayuko. Seeing the knife on the ground, the sniper aimed at the exact trajectory that would ricochet the bullet towards them, and Yuri wondered what type of f***ing hacks this face downloaded. As Mayuko realized that she should leave Yuri for the helicopter, she remembered how everyone bullied her throughout her life, along with her own parents. The anger she had held within was the reason she was able to kill others ruthlessly in this world. But when she looked at Yuri, she couldn't stop remembering the way she saved her life, so she told Yuri to start heading for the roof, revealing that she had an ace up her sleeve. As they started running towards the stairs, the sniper began following them. She knew he was now dead, as only a blood splatter remained where he once stood. But after seeing his hat, Yuri wondered if he might have been her brother. However, Mayuko snapped her back to reality, but Yuri told her to take the helicopter alone, revealing that she still needed to find her brother to escape with him. Even so, Mayuko swore that she would never forget about her, but as she walked away, Yuri realized that she had a phone, but Mayuko heard a strange noise coming from outside. In that moment, both of them realized the helicopter was taking off, so after running upstairs, the sniper's mask cracked, releasing some of his memories. As they continued running until they arrived at the roof, the wind nearly blew Yuri's skirt off, so the helicopter decided to come back down to blow it off even higher. However, as it began flying away, Yuri realized that it was her fault for being late, so she whipped out her Glock and used her hoodbender powers to shoot at the helicopter, but it wouldn't even dent it. So she continued firing until the helicopter turned back. But when they thought their lives were saved, a masked man opened the door and began firing to nearly shoot their legs off before flying away. Although their only chance of salvation was now gone, Mayuko told Yuri not to blame herself, since she never wanted to return to her miserable life anyway. But Yuri realized that the helicopter was this world's weakest point. After all, she knew they were desperate to protect the helicopter, so she asked Mayuko to help her take it over next time, swearing that she would take this sky itself. Hearing those words, Mayuko realized that Yuri not only wanted to commit an infraction, but that she wanted to launch an all-out high-rise invasion, and saw her collapsing onto the ground. A few hours later, after Sniper washed off his ripped hot body, he realized that the crack allowed him to remember fragments of his memories, and that his name was Makoto, but was still unable to resist the mask's commands. So when he saw another mask approaching him, he pretended to appear ordinary, but after creating some distance, the Axeman stopped and rushed forward, blocking his bullet. But before his life would end, Makoto reloaded and shoved his barrel down his mouth, shooting it deep into his throat and exploded his head. Once the man was down, he realized that even a slight crack was going to cause the other masks to fight him. At the same time, Yuri regained consciousness in an empty hallway, but realized that Mayuko was gone, making her sad that she was abandoned by her only friend. However, she spotted a mask walking towards her, and after the man looked back, she started running away. Meanwhile, Mayuko had finished using the bathroom, but wondered where Fat Thigh's Big Tits McGee disappeared off to. As Yuri kept running, she realized that only an abyss lay underneath, and the mask appeared with two of his friends, forcing her to keep walking away. But when one of them tried following her, the side of the bridge began collapsing, as they had fallen for Yuri's trap of cutting the bearings off. The woman held on for her life, and Yuri thought he was about to save her, but the man began tearing her fingers off until she fell off the bridge, ending her life in that instant. So as the man stood back up, Yuri aimed her barrel down the man, realizing that she was on her sixth and final shot in the revolver. She remembered that the police's weapons were as useless as Mayuko's chest, and began trying to run away until she tripped off the bridge. However, the men drew closer as she crawled on her knees, and she realized that her life was over until Mayuko appeared from behind. But she apologized if she accidentally ends her life, because she had horrible aim. As she fired, the mask used his comrade as a shield until she was out of ammo, so he dropped his body and began rushing forward. But as she threw her gun towards him, he evaded and ripped her shirt off with his claws, licking his fingers to taste her skin. When he turned around, however, he saw that Yuri was holding the gun, and she fired more bullets than cops do on minorities. Mayuko realized that he was still breathing, and once Yuri held his mask, he revealed that he was already seeing the whiteness of heaven, so Mayuko stepped on his worthless face. The worthless victim told them to never look at the back of masks, as it would hack their brains and would never allow them to regain control of their mind. His head began overflowing with the command to Isekai himself, but since RecapKun wasn't around, he bit his tongue off, and Yuri wondered who was controlling them. Realizing that Mayuko never abandoned her, she asked her if she would stay by her side. But Mayuko revealed that she would betray her if her life was in danger. Even so, Yuri was glad they could be together, but as soon as Mayuko tried checking the time, Yuri lost her mind remembering that she had a phone. At the same time, Makoto wondered why Yuri's photo had Rika's name written on it, but his memories began returning, remembering that she was his sister. After calling her brother, she began crying in happiness, making Mayuko jealous of their relationship. Hearing her plan to hijack the helicopter, Rika told her that she did well, but revealed that he would come to save her on one condition, telling her to look towards Mayuko and to kill her off. In this world, no one can be considered an ally, since it was killed or be killed, and he thought that Mayuko could be luring her into a trap this entire time. So she looked at Mayuko and shot her to death, apologizing for betraying her. But it was only in her imagination, so when she looked back at Mayuko, she told Rika that if he continued telling her to kill her ally, she'll be killing him instead. However, Rika was glad to hear her response, since this was a test to discover if she truly trusted her allies, so he agreed with her plan to capture the helicopter, and revealed that he would make his way across the city with his own allies. After hanging up, Yuri ran to hug Mayuko, apologizing because she imagined doing something very weird to her, but Mayuko wondered what the f*** she meant by that. Meanwhile, in a faraway building, Rika came across a masked man, but when he charged at him, he bashed his face into the ground with a hammer. However, he wasn't done yet, because when he realized the man was still alive, he started pounding his face into the ground, taking his anger out because he hated having a bitch name. He had realized they could never be freed from the mask's control, even after the mask was destroyed, so he made it his life's mission to eliminate every single one of them. At the same time, Makoto's seal was beginning to break, and remembered facing off against Rika, realizing that he would be the key to regaining his own memories. Meanwhile, as Rika's friends arrived inside the building, one of the boys revealed that they came looking for him, but a cannonball breezed past them, crashing into the wall. Takeda wondered why he could only see from his left eye, and they realized that he had lost half of his face from the attack, killing him at that instant. As they spotted the killer, he launched another cannonball using a professional baseball pitcher's technique, narrowly missing their faces. At that moment, Rika realized that the masks were giving them powers beyond the human body's limits, and began running off with Akihara. As they noticed an emergency exit, Akihara tried running inside, but Rika realized it was a trap and barely saved the worthless loser from falling. Without anywhere else to run, Rika realized that their only hope was to defeat the masked man, and tried to think of a way out of this situation. As he discovered the masked man was a pitcher who was abiding by baseball rules, he realized they could abuse those rules against him, and attack him while he was focused on pitching. After all, he realized that every masked man retained a part of their original human mind, but had to abide to specific rules according to their personality, creating the unique aspects that made each killer different. So when the killer appeared before them, Rika readied his hammer, taking the batter position to force the pitcher into a baseball shootout. Just as he expected, the pitcher managed to throw the fastest strike possible rather than killing him, so he screamed at Akihara to blow the lights out, allowing Rika to rush forward and destroy his mask. However, the man caught his face and began saying that he wasn't fit to become the god of this realm, but Rika managed to kick him away. As Rika wondered why he brought up God, the man said that he was too weak to pass the divine trials for becoming a god candidate, but Akihara blasted him before he could finish. After he passed away, Rika continued wondering what secret he was trying to reveal, and thought the helicopter wasn't trying to rescue them after all. At the same time, Yuri was washing her massive cannons, and Mayuko was bent over for absolutely no reason. On the other side of the city, Makoto killed another person, but wondered why he still couldn't disobey the mask's orders. Since he started regaining control of his body, he realized that God's voice was installed inside his brain, and was commanding him around. As a memory flashed across his mind, the mask shocked his brain to conceal the memory, but a girl wondered if he was okay. However, Makoto thought she must be a brain-dead moron and prepared to kill her, but God's voice commanded him to spare her life, revealing that she was already on a level close to God. It told him that this realm was a facility to create a new God, and that his duty as an angel was to bring humans closer to the real God. As he decided to spare her life, he tried asking who she was, so she told him her name was Aliclamax, and began saying that she has been wandering alone for days. At the same time, Yuri spotted a masked man approaching, and screamed at him to stop moving.
あのな、俺をからかって楽しいか。残念ながら、今のところ姉は募集していない。多分ずっとしない。
What did he say?
By the time Mayuko woke up, Yuri had opened the bag and said that an emotionless masked man dropped supplies off for them. As she showed her a dagger among them, Mayuko took the knife out, knowing exactly what she was going to play with at night. But Yuri thought it must be sad being as flat as that knife. Across the city, Rika began wondering why this realm was a replica of Earth, but decided to call Yuri, hoping to reveal the rest of his plans to her. However, when Mayuko answered, he realized that she could have killed his sister while she was sleeping, so he finally decided to trust her, and began revealing his plan to save them. From the distance, Gordon Ramsay thought he found the perfect ingredient, realizing that her hot body was the full-course meal he's always desired to make. At the same time, Makoto and Kyon had agreed to become temporary companions, as he offered to lead her to Yuri. As Yuri and Mayuko continued their journey, hoping to find the helicopter's next landing area, Yuri began wondering if they would ever find new allies. As she hurried off to scout the rooftop, Mayuko realized that Yuri was special to her and remembered her childhood several years ago. She was born as a cursed child, and even her own family wished she would die already. So for the first time in her worthless life, she was starting to feel alive, and thought Yuri was the sister she's always needed. Before she knew it, however, the creepy chef appeared before her eyes and pulled her over the edge. But as she thought her life was over, he caught her ankle and threw her into the lower floor. At the same time, Yuri noticed she had gone missing, but as Mayuko managed to survive, the chef revealed that he would be eating her out. As Mayuko wondered how he was able to speak, seeing as the other masked men couldn't, she thought his mask was different from the others. Right then, she noticed the entrance and tried telling him that she would rather hug the ground. But he told her that his mask was defected, and that he had regained his free will. Just then, he kicked the heads of the people she killed, and their voices echoed in her mind, reminding her that she was responsible for what happened to her worthless family, and realized that she deserved to be killed. But as the chef tried slicing her head off, Yuri shot him, breaking the laws of physics as she hung down using her shirt, and fired 7 more shots at him. After throwing the gun towards Mayuko, she told her to meet her on the rooftop. However, as Mayuko began to think she was safe, Mark rose up from the dead and began screaming that he wouldn't die without stuffing her inside with his massive meatballs. But Mayuko already heard enough and slashed his neck before killing him with a final strike. At the same time, Makoto and Kyon came across another note, but he thought it was a trap. When Mayuko arrived inside the hallway, Yuri told her that she found new allies and showed her a note on the wall. But Mayuko thought it was suspicious. However, Yuri thought it was their only chance to make allies in this world, so they followed the directions and eventually arrived inside a lounge. As they noticed a mysterious man, Yuri tried asking if he was the leader, but he revealed his masked face, and the girls realized it was a trap after all. But before Yuri could shoot him, an ugly moron electrocuted her with a taser, while another one captured Mayuko. As Yuri realized she couldn't move her body, the man revealed his face, and she discovered he had already taped the back of the mask. He began telling her that some of the masks are called jackpots, and that they possess enough power to destroy the realm when they were found. He thought his mask may be one of them, but needed to test it first, so he peeled off the tape, and Yuri thought this would truly be the end for her. At that moment, a tall masked man appeared before them, killing one of them faster than the speed of sound. However, the group thought they could kill him, and one of them started firing at him, but as he dodged everything, he killed him with a single blow. As he pulled off his helmet, he began killing them one after another, before punching a hole inside the leader. When he was done, he decided to challenge Yuri, but she told Mayuko to run away, afraid they were both going to die. However, Mayuko decided to reveal the chef's mask that she was hiding, saying she would sacrifice herself instead. At the same time, Makoto and Kyon were climbing up the stairs, but he decided to go first to protect her from any of the enemies, and Kyon realized he truly was a kind person.
パンツ見えそうなんだよな、この女。 It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Back inside, Yuri realized the mask had taken over Mayuko's mind and thought her worst nightmare came to life. Ryder asked God if she had become an angel, so God told him that she did, and revealed that her body's limits were now overcome. So Yuri thought her life was over, but as Mayuko flew to kill Yuri, she slashed Ryder instead. As he managed to punch her face, her mask cracked open, but she managed to get away. With Yuri confused, Mayuko revealed that she's actually in her right mind, and God revealed to Ryder that Mayuko was an angel, who was in complete control of her body. When Yuri wondered how she could control herself, Mayuko told her that she had kept the chef's mask after killing him, since she realized it allowed him to have his own free will, so she gambled her life away. Immediately, Ryder began throwing punches, but as she dodged them, Mayuko started slicing at his face as they battled back and forth, narrowly dodging each other's attacks. Yuri thought Mayuko had definitely grown stronger, and realized she had become as powerful as the masked men. Just then, Ryder threw a right cross, but Mayuko had already vanished, so as Yuri caught his ankle, she sliced him instantly. With Ryder nearly dead, they decided to take his mask off, and discovered he had returned to his right mind. He said that they were lucky to be alive, and told them to destroy this disgusting world, but his soul began leaving his body. Before Yuri could apologize to Mayuko, a random man appeared in front of the door. As they took him for an enemy, they demanded to know who he was, so he introduced himself as Sashio, and revealed that he was searching for god candidates. Meanwhile, Makoto and Kyuon had arrived in the hallway, but he was hoping to discover what a god candidate really was. With Mayuko already sick of Sashio's face, she split an axe to warn him about lying to them, commanding him to confess the truth. So he wondered if they were god candidates and have the ability to manipulate the masked men. But the girls had no idea what he meant. As he decided to ask for their help, he began explaining that his 4 companions were slain by a deranged god candidate who was looking to be the only one alive. Their loss had driven him to a desire for revenge, and he asked the girls for their support in killing the menace. However, Yuri thought the god candidate would know all the secrets of the realm, and suggested they speak to him instead. Before long, Sashio began leading the way, but Mayuko told Yuri that the mysterious god candidate may gain control over her, seeing as she already acquired the mask's abilities. By the time they arrived, the worthless ugly god candidate started threatening to annihilate them all, but Mayuko realized his voice had no effect on her. As Yuri tried suggesting they make peace with him, Sashio began saying that the girls are god candidates, and that they came to avenge his slain comrades. Hearing these words, Kazuma revealed that he could never allow them to become a perfect god, and commanded Ain to slay them immediately. Without hesitating, she jumped over the railing with her sword, but Mayuko blocked her attack. As she withdrew, she attacked again, but Mayuko remembered Yuri's words, so she decided to lure Ain away from the others, and continued defending against her attacks. While Ain was distracted, Sashio began charging at her like a brain-dead moron, desperate to avenge his comrades, but she dodged his spear before stabbing him. The sight of it made Yuri afraid, but the girls continued fighting until Mayuko kicked Ain back. She realized Ain had grown exhausted, but as they ran at each other, she dodged her attack. Just as she tried to end her, Kazuma summoned a masked woman, and she was ready to kill Mayuko with an arrow. However, Yuri had anticipated their plan and killed her instantly. At that moment, Ain fell from exhaustion, and Kazuma realized he had lost the battle and was back to being the same horrendous loser he was in the real world. Desperate to turn his luck around, he threatened to kill Yuri, but Mayuko hurried to protect her. Yuri thought his disgusting eyes were the same as Mizushita, and realized he would kill other god candidates if they spared his life, so she aimed at him. However, Kyuon was afraid they would kill each other, and began wondering how they could prevent that from happening. But Makoto told her that Kazuma was better off dead anyway. He thought Kazuma could eliminate her with his angel, seeing as she was too weak and useless to defend herself, but told her to reveal her true powers if she hopes to save everyone. Hearing his words, Kyuon decided to activate her device, powering up the railgun at that instant. Immediately, it blasted a building and caused it to crumble, but Kazuma thought Yuri triggered the blast. While everyone was still confused, Yuri decided to take responsibility for it, and began saying that it was her special ability as the #1 god candidate, before threatening to destroy Kazuma. When Ain hurried to protect him, Yuri threatened to destroy her like an ant, and the fear made her surrender. Realizing he was completely hopeless, Kazuma also surrendered, begging her to spare his worthless life. but Mayuko thought Yuri was a genius. At that moment, they realized Sashio was still alive, so Yuri commanded Kazuma to treat his wound. Meanwhile, across the city, Rika had witnessed the blast and wondered who could have activated the power of the railgun. At the same time, Kyuon had discovered she has the ability to control masked men who were on her wavelength. But when Makoto wondered if she could silence God's voice, she told him that it was impossible. Just then, they noticed some food, but as they began to eat, an emotionless masked man began revealing that the contest would end once a candidate becomes the perfect god. He said that they would have the power to create peace, and to even bring an end to this realm. However, there could only be one perfect god, and he revealed that once he was chosen, the god's desire would prevail over everyone. As he left, Kyuon thought she has discovered her life's purpose, and declared that she would become the perfect god, hoping to bring this world to a peaceful end. In the far side of the city, two masked losers tried developing plot with a girl, but as a monk appeared behind them, he killed them instantly, and Rika arrived at that moment. As he wondered if the monk was being controlled by a god candidate, he offered to speak to his master, but as he did, he realized he was actually a 13-year-old first-year high schooler, who revealed that his name is Rikuya. As he wondered if Rika was a god candidate, he told him that he wasn't, but asked how he acquired his powers. Rikuya told him that he found a mouthless mask when he was first teleported to this realm, but as he put it on, it installed data into his brain, but shattered so that no one else would wear it. This was how he became a god candidate, and Rika realized it was the jackpot mask that the useless group were trying to find. However, when he wondered how they would become the perfect god, Rikuya told him that he had no idea, but thought all their wishes would be granted once they become one. Meanwhile, Mayuko was wondering how they would destroy the realm, but as a masked clone appeared before her, she realized that God was trying to take over her mind. Luckily, Yuri arrived at that moment, wondering if she was sick, and suggested they take a break. So as they rested, she told her that they must continue towards the high-rise tower, seeing as it was their best hope for meeting Rika. But before leaving, they decided to visit Sashio at the hospital, and Yuri threatened to skin Kazuma like an ugly cow if he kills him before he recovers. As they began crossing a bridge, Mayuko spotted the masked clone, and the sight of it made her afraid, but Yuri saved her from falling off. As she suggested they return to the hospital, Mayuko told her that she was perfectly fine, realizing she must protect her mind from God's control until Yuri was reunited with her brother. After crossing over to the building, they made their way into the library, but noticed a masked man as he appeared before them. Eager to protect Yuri, Mayuko ran at him, evading a body and narrowly dodging his club. From the power of his swing, she realized he was definitely a strong enemy, but thought she could defeat him with her upgraded skill. With the man having a longer reach, she thought she could disarm him, and charged again. As he prepared for a wild swing, Mayuko thought she could outsmart him, but his attack was a feint, because after she missed, he smacked her away. Angered by the sight, Yuri fired multiple shots, but he escaped behind the bookshelves, and she wondered how she would rescue Mayuko. At that moment, a bullet ricocheted off the fire sprinkler, killing the masked man instantly. From the sound of the rifle, she realized Makoto was responsible, and started shooting towards him. Luckily, Mayuko was still conscious, so Yuri told her that their sniper enemy was back from the dead, and they ran out of the building. However, Makoto had no intentions of killing them, and thought his earlier attacks must have traumatized Yuri, so he suggested they keep their distance in the meantime. When Kyuon wondered why he was bent on seeing the girls, she thought he was hiding a secret, and demanded to know what it was, so Makoto revealed his story. After first regaining control over his body, his earliest memory was facing off with Rika, who already knew who he was, and tried helping him recover his memories. As he fired at him, Rika dodged, and nearly took his mask off, but he flipped back to another building, and noticed Yuri's photograph as it fell off. He told Kyuon that Rika must have been his companion, and said that he hopes to meet him again. Just then, he began wondering how he got the mask in the first place, and realized it was forcefully donned on him by a creepy masked woman, who was under the control of a god candidate. She had asked if he could activate the railgun, but decided to make him part of her army when she discovered he was a clueless moron. This was the only way he would be useful to her, but Makoto had ended up a lone ranger. At the same time, Kyuon realized that this realm would fall into chaos if the god candidate seizes control of the railgun. She thought she wasn't safe, and realized she must stay hidden in the meantime. Meanwhile, Yuri and Mayuko were continuing towards the tower, but Mayuko wondered how long she could continue resisting God's voice. After arriving inside a hallway, she fell at that instant and realized she was losing control of her body. As Yuri wondered how she could help her, a masked man appeared from behind and tried to attack her, but she killed him immediately. Just then, Mayuko revealed that the defective mask was starting to take over her brain, and that God's voice was beginning to order her around. She thought it was only a matter of time before she loses complete control of herself, but revealed that she would rather hug the ground instead. So she headed for the bridge and bade Yuri goodbye, but she stopped her from hugging the ground. At that moment, the masked clone appeared before her eyes, and Mayuko realized it was over for her. So she knocked Yuri to the floor, and God began commanding her to skydive without a parachute. However, the thought of Yuri managed to disrupt the command, so God decided to hibernate her body. But as Yuri wondered what just happened, a masked woman appeared behind her, and Yuri noticed she was wearing an angry-looking mask. However, the woman told her that she's actually a guardian angel, whose duty was to assist the participants. When Yuri wondered how she could save Mayuko, the woman told her that only a god candidate could interfere with her brain, and revealed that she would be dead in 2 hours. Yuri's best hope was to become a god candidate herself, so the woman directed her to a mouthless mask that would make her one, but told her that she would be forced into a fierce battle with the other god candidates to become the perfect god. Yuri thought it couldn't be worse than losing Mayuko, and as she laid her inside a room, she vowed to save her. Before long, she began running across the bridge, hoping to return before it was too late. At the same time, Makoto and Kyuon arrived inside the building, and managed to find Mayuko's room. As Kyuon discovered she was hibernating, she realized she could save her with her ability, and teleported into her mind. As she spotted Mayuko's spirit, she realized she was fighting to hold on to her sanity, but the clone caught her from behind, ready to eliminate her for entering. However, she managed to repel her, and commanded her to end the hibernation and relinquish control over her body. Immediately, the clone obeyed her command, and Kyuon was glad to have succeeded. By the time she woke up, she told Makoto that Mayuko would survive and return to her normal self. Meanwhile, Yuri was climbing towards a rooftop, determined to find the mouthless mask. But as she discovered a masked creep was following her, she realized she already abandoned her weapon. So as she managed to climb to the roof, the creep landed on top of her, and was ready to penetrate her with his giant needle. Luckily, she managed to escape, and spotted a white box before her. She thought the mask could be inside, and opened it immediately. As she spotted it, she looked inside as the creep charged at her, but before he could reach her, the code teleported her to a floating world. And as she began hearing God's voice, it revealed that an enemy was close, and installed the emergency sequence, slowing time in that moment. Yuri realized it was the power of the mouthless mask, and evaded the man's giant needle. At that moment, God told her that she has acquired self-reinforcing abilities, and directed her to eliminate the enemy before putting on the mask. So as the man tried to attack again, she threw him away like a piece of trash, and was shocked by her own strength. Meanwhile, Rika had managed to find more allies, and with the monk at their command, he thought they were invincible. At the same time, another group of masked enemies were spying on them. The leader, Kasakabe, thought one of them was the railgun user, and decided she must eliminate them all for her god candidate to become a perfect god. On the other hand, God began telling Yuri to put on the mask, but as she did so, she was teleported back into the floating world. As she wondered where she was, God appeared before her, revealing that she was in the world inside her brain, and that new abilities are being installed into her body. When Yuri wondered if she would be able to save Mayuko, God told her that she has acquired the cerebral interference ability that would make it possible, but revealed that she must upgrade her skills on her own. By the time the installation was completed, she realized the mask had broken to pieces, but as she tried hurrying back to Mayuko, she got a call and discovered that Mayuko was alive. As she revealed that she was saved by a god candidate, Yuri realized they would finally make new allies. The thought made her excited, and she realized that with their combined skills, they could take on any enemy. Meanwhile, Rika and his allies arrived at a new building to meet Rikuya, who was their new ally. After spotting him, Rika realized he was an innocent ugly kid, but thought he could be trusted. At the same time, Kasakabe was ready for her assault, and commanded Racket to throw a canister of tear gas at them. So he hurled it into the air and smacked it towards them. At the sight of it, Rika tried warning the others, but the gas overwhelmed them and clouded their vision. While they were distracted, Kasakabe commanded a new enemy to eliminate the monk, so Halberd jumped on the rooftop. But as he tried to stab him, Rika predicted his attack, and managed to repel it. So he screamed for the others to run away, telling them to find their way into the building while he holds off the enemy. As Halberd attacked again, Rika predicted his direction, but as he realized it was a feint, he managed to block his attack. However, the spear broke through his little wood, but he managed to catch it just in time. As he started losing his strength, the spear nearly split his face, but a blade ended Halberd instantly, and Rick realized that backup had arrived. As the group began to think the attack was over, Kasakabe sent 3 new enemies to the rooftop. But Rika was starting to get dizzy as his injury got worse, so he passed out at that moment. As the boys began shooting, one enemy tried to hide behind a pony, but the monk eliminated him, and the aristocrat killed another. As Swimmer appeared at that moment, he dodged the monk's attack and bashed his face with a single blow. But when he drew closer to Rika, the monk caught his ankle, screaming for them to run away. But he smashed his face with his foot, and Rikuya realized he's lost his best fighter. Immediately, Swimmer began running off with Rika, and the boys realized it was over for them. On the other hand, Kasakabe was proud of their success, and was glad that they would finally return to their god candidate. However, when she wondered why he was demanding to see Rika and thought he was irrelevant, her mask electrified her for questioning his orders. Meanwhile, across the city, Yuri discovered that Rika has been abducted, and crushed her phone in that instant, deciding to get revenge. She thought this realm was truly evil, and that it could only deserve to be destroyed. So she decided to leave, hoping to find him before he was killed. On the other hand, Mayuko began wondering why Yuri had not arrived already, as her phone was no longer connecting. She thought she was in danger and hurried off to find her. However, when she arrived on a rooftop, she realized she was almost lost, but decided to scream Yuri's name. Her voice snapped Yuri out of her desire for revenge. So as she screamed back, Mayuko headed towards her voice. Meanwhile, a masked man was aiming at her from a rooftop, but as he fired, Makoto shot his grenade, causing it to explode. As he realized the enemy would soon launch another, Makoto tried to kill him, but his bullet was repelled. At that moment, another enemy appeared for support, wondering if he was a god candidate. He thought he could repel Makoto's bullets easily, and commanded his partner to launch another grenade. But before he could, Yuri shot him immediately and landed before Mayuko. When Mayuko wondered how she arrived so fast, Yuri revealed that she has acquired special abilities from God. At the same time, Grenade Launcher managed to stand and fired several grenades towards them. But Yuri activated her self-strengthening ability, slowing time at that instant. So with the grenades moving in slow motion, she fired accurate shots that destroyed them. But everyone wondered how she acquired the ability. Just then, Makoto killed the grenade launcher, but when Yuri saw him, she nearly pissed herself. On the other hand, the last enemy began to retreat, afraid of getting killed. As he decided to call his master the god candidate, he tried revealing that their plans went south. But Makoto blasted his useless brain and crashed into a hallway. So with the enemies dead, Mayuko decided to tell Yuri that Makoto was now their ally, and Yuri revealed how she became a god candidate. As Kyuon appeared before them, she introduced herself to Yuri, but as they shook hands, electricity sparked from their union. Kyuon thought it was a sign that they are both god candidates, but when it was over, she told her that Makoto was now in control of his body, but revealed that God was starting to fight back for control. As Yuri stared straight at Kyuon, she wondered what her purpose in life was, so the girl told her that she desires to create peace across the realm and to protect her friends. Hearing her words, Yuri thought they were alike, and decided to accept her as their newest ally. But at that moment, Mayuko appeared before them, saying that they must leave before more enemies arrived. Meanwhile, Rika and Swimmer arrived at a tall building, and Rika was ready to meet the god candidate. However, as they entered the lounge, Rika spotted a shit-faced loser, but when he wondered who he was, the dude introduced himself as Mamoru, saying that he's the god candidate. Hoping to discover the truth, Rika wondered why he was abducted, and why his horrendous face was uglier than a blobfish. But Mamoru told him that he intends to kill every weak loser inside this world, hoping to create complete peace. He said that becoming god in this realm would grant them power over the real world, but Rika thought his peace was shit, and wondered if he could kill him and end their battles right here. However, when Mamoru asked him to become an ally, Rika accepted, hoping to win over his trust in the meantime. But a masked woman nearly killed him, and Mamoru revealed that he would have sent him off to the afterlife if he turned down his offer. When Rika wondered how many angels he could control at the same time, Mamoru revealed that he has over 30 of them in his army. His words made Rika realize that the worthless face was smart after all, but Mamoru invited him to the rooftop. As they began heading out, Mamoru revealed that they were summoned to become the next god because the real god has gone on holiday. He told him that one of them would definitely be crowned god, but Rika wondered how he could send him straight to hell. Mamoru began telling him that he could change the world if he becomes god, but that he was ready to annihilate the entire world to see his dream come true. After arriving on the rooftop, Mamoru revealed that he was actually waiting for the helicopter to arrive. With Rika confused, he decided to ask how the helicopter would make him a perfect god. So Mamoru told him that a god candidate must reach the top of the railgun to become a perfect god, but that it could only be reached by a helicopter. This made the helicopter vital, but Rika realized that Yuri's plan to hijack it was about to get complicated. Just then, Mamoru began saying that he's closest to God, and that having overcome all the trials, he was truly deserving of the crown. His disgusting words made Rika angry, but as he realized he could not attack him, he hoped that Yuri would stay hidden and eventually end his worthless life. Meanwhile, Yuri decided to tell the girls that Rika has been abducted. But as Miyuko wondered how they would find the enemy, the helicopter arrived at that moment, and Yuri thought it was their chance to hijack it. But as she prepared to activate her self-strengthening ability, the helicopter flew away immediately. Before long, it flew towards Mamoru. But as he commanded the masked women to hijack it, the angry mask appeared with his rifle, but decided to wave them off as the helicopter took off. However, Mamoru already predicted this, so he told Rika that the guardian angels are enemies who intend to stop the birth of the perfect god. He told him that they are the greatest threat to this realm, and said they must be defeated no matter what. To keep them from escaping, he commanded his West squad to monitor the helicopter's landing zone, and to annihilate every human that comes close. Hearing these words, Rika realized that Mamoru truly has a large army and was prepared for war. Just then, Mamoru summoned new backups, and 2 large angels appeared behind Rika. He told Rika that he would be his hostage in the meantime, and threatened to eliminate him if he tries to escape. As he began to leave, he came across Kasakabe, and told her to interrogate Rika. He said he was about to start a war, and revealed that he has deployed superior angels to slay all the god candidates in sight. Across the city, Makoto began wondering who he really is. As memories of Rika continued returning to his mind, he thought they must have really been friends after all. Just then, he sensed the presence of an enemy, but narrowly dodged her bullet. As he discovered her position, he decided to accept that he's no longer a regular human and fired back, but she dodged the bullet. At the same time, they loaded their guns, but Makoto knew he was in a bad position. Just then, the girl began shooting the ropes, so he tried running to the other side and managed to catch a rope. As he wondered if this was his end, the girl sensed he was in danger, so Yuri flew onto the rooftop to get a better view. As she spotted the sniper, she realized she was the enemy, so Kyuon asked for her precise position, hoping to eliminate her with the railgun. Meanwhile, Makoto was hanging on for dear life, but continued seeing Rika in his memories. He remembered they were friends ever since they were kids, and even made a bet to live a cool life together. At that moment, he realized he was ready to die, but Kyuon activated the railgun, desperate to save him. Just then, Ain rushed towards the sniper and slashed her rifle in an instant. But as she charged again, the sniper threw her gun and kicked her in the face. Even so, Ain would not surrender, but Makoto nearly blasted the sniper. So as he aimed again, Ain began drawing closer, but the girl jumped down the roof and ran away. As Kazuma arrived, he was glad to see Ain safe and thought Makoto was Yuri's angel, but she directed them towards their rendezvous point. A few minutes later, as the sniper revealed everything that happened, Mamoru realized that one of the girls was in control of the railgun, but wondered why no blast was fired. He thought the railgun user was equally declaring war, and as he began oozing with electricity, he threatened to destroy her. On the other hand, Yuri and the girls began advancing towards the rendezvous point, but Miyuko thought Kyuon was keeping secrets from them. So when they arrived inside the building, she asked to speak with Kyuon in private, and pulled her away immediately. While Yuri was alone, she noticed a masked man approaching, and aimed at him, ready to end him at that instant. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Kyuon decided to reveal that she was the railgun user, and Miyuko realized she would be a target for rival god candidates once they discover, seeing as they needed the weapon to become god. As Miyuko suggested they tell Yuri, they heard a noise outside, but as they hurried out, they watched her crash on the floor. However, she would not surrender and aimed again at the man, revealing that he's a strong sumo fighter. She told Miyuko that her gun got jammed, and that the man was a free mask who could say what he wants, but that he has a death wish, and with no control over his body. Immediately, the girls revealed their weapons, but Kyuan was hiding like a useless ugly kid. As he charged at them, they evaded his attacks, but when Yuri dodged his strong hands, she sliced his knee. Before he could recover, Mayuko ran up the wall and slayed him in an instant. So with the man dead, Yuri began saying that they must survive no matter what, but Kyuan wondered why she was so weak and useless. Just then, Makoto appeared behind them, but Yuri was creeped out at the sight of him and ran off immediately. A few hours later, when Kazuma and the others arrived, Yuri offered to shake his hand, creating the electric spark. When Kazuma wondered how she did it, she revealed that it was a sign they were both god candidates, but the kid thought she was an ugly bully. On the other hand, Kyuan and Makoto were patrolling the corridor, but when she revealed that Rika has been abducted by the enemies, he realized he may never see him again. Meanwhile, Kasakabe had begun to interrogate Rika, wondering who Rikuya was, but as he revealed everything, she checked his brain activity and discovered he was telling the truth. After a call, she discovered that Makoto was alive and decided to ask Rika about him, afraid she would check his brain activity again. He decided to reveal that he once knew the sniper, but told her that he already lost his memories. Kasakabe realized he was telling the truth, but thought he was hiding a secret. So to rile him up, she threatened to make him an angel, and as she dragged him to the floor, she revealed that she made Makoto one of them. Hearing those words, Rika slammed his head on the floor to release his anger, but revealed that the mask would only make Makoto stronger, and that he would come back to kill them all. Kasakabe began wondering if Makoto was a threat, but Rika was glad to have distracted her from asking about Yuri. Just then, he grew weak from his blood loss and passed out at that instant. Meanwhile, Makoto was trying to suggest they rescue Rika, but his mask electrified him at that instant. He realized that God was about to hibernate him for becoming a defective angel, and told Kyuan that it was only a matter of time before his body shuts down. But she promised to restore him to his right mind. Just then, Mayuko answered a call from Kyuan, and discovered that Makoto was about to enter hibernation, so Yuri told Kazuma to be on guard duty as they started heading upstairs, hoping to see him before he loses consciousness. By the time they arrived, Kyuan told them that Makoto was asking to speak with Yuri in private. As she entered the room, she tried apologizing for always running away like he was an ugly freak of nature, but he thought her apology was irrelevant and decided to return her photograph. Realizing it was her brother's prized possession, she tried asking how he acquired it, but he no longer remembered. However, he thought he must have been friends with Rika, but wondered if she has any memories of him. When she wasn't certain, he decided to reveal his face, hoping she would recognize him, but she thought he was the most handsome man she's ever seen. However, she had no memories of him, and told him that they had never met before. Realizing only Rika could tell him who he really is, he decided to don his mask. Just then, the mask electrified him again, and he realized the hibernation process would soon begin. So he revealed that he has given Kyuan an important clue for finding the enemies, but told her to save herself if their plans go south. Hearing his words, Yuri thought he sounded just like her brother and was glad to have him on their side. By the time she rejoined the girls, she retrieved the clue from Kyuan. So when the girls were gone, she began wondering if the enemies have discovered where they are, and thought they must be ready for a surprise attack. Meanwhile, an investigator spotted her at the window, and remembered that Mamoru had ordered him to lure her into a trap. Later that night, Kyuan and Mayuko teleported into Makoto's brain, but as they appeared inside his brain world, they wondered if they teleported to the wrong place. Just then, Mayuko's clone appeared before her and revealed that they were really inside his mind. When Mayuko wondered why her masked clone had appeared, she told her that she came to offer her support, and added that this was part of Makoto's dreams. Just then, Kyuan sensed Makoto's presence and began to lead the way. But when a younger Makoto appeared before them, Mayuko thought he was an enemy and drew her knife instantly. However, as he revealed he was truly the one, Kyuan decided to hide, realizing she was too ugly to be noticed. But Makoto was in no mood for her shit and decided to lead them to his masked clone. As a younger Rika noticed them, Makoto discovered his real name was Yu Makoto. But at that moment, Kyuan began to unleash her powers, determined to end the hibernation process. As his clone tried to stop her, she unleashed a powerful blast that weakened his body. So with the clone rendered useless, she commanded him to relinquish control of Makoto's body, and told Makoto that the despair and murder command have been erased from his brain. This made Makoto excited, but Kyuan fell from exhaustion. As she revealed that she has reached her power limit, and that they must return, Rika began asking them to stay. but they teleported immediately. In the real world, Yuzuki offered to adjust Yuri's gun after discovering it jammed, but as they heard a scream, she thought a girl was being attacked and hurried off to the rescue. However, when she arrived inside the building, she realized the girl has been slain already, and 4 masked men stood before her eyes. As they began firing at her, she activated her self-strengthening ability. But when she began firing back, they hid behind a shield and started rotating like fucking morons. However, Yuri was bent on avenging the girl and watched them hide behind the pillars. When one of them charged towards her, she bumped into him, knocking him to the floor. But as she broke his bone, she killed him instantly. As another tried to shoot her from behind, she killed him before he could even move. So the last 2 attacked at the same time, but she saw through their movements and easily evaded them. When they attacked again, she blasted them into nirvana, and the investigator realized she was a real badass. So with all the men dead, Yuri grew exhausted, having used up all her strength. At that moment, the investigator realized he could become the hero of the day if he managed to eliminate her. The thought made him reveal himself, and the thunder caused Yuri to think he's a ghost. As he threw up his cape, revealing dozens of knives, Yuri realized she was in deep shit. But as she dived behind a pillar, she managed to escape getting carved, but wondered if he was a random enemy. Just then, he started chasing her around, hurling knives at her, but she ran for her life, barely evading them all. While she was hiding behind a pillar, he appeared before her eyes and threw his knives to end her, but it pierced the wall as she hid behind the door. When she wondered if he was out of weapons, the investigator revealed that his language ability has just been unlocked and showed off his gigachad muscles. But Yuri ran away immediately. As he continued hurling more knives, she luckily evaded them all. But as the useless creep began calling his master Mamoru the male version of Mother Teresa, a knife pierced his arm. At that moment, Miyuko rushed inside and slashed across his face before restraining him. As she took his mask off, Yuri demanded to know who his master was, but the moronic loser began saying a bunch of nonsense about the realm and thought everyone should be annihilated. However, Yuri thought his master was a deranged menace and vowed to kill him and his entire army. As the loser tried saying that she doesn't stand a chance, she smashed his face at that instant. Meanwhile, Mamoru was creating the perfect plan to kill all the god candidates and revealed that he would release the Great Angel to destroy them all. But in the meantime, Rika was still unconscious. When Kasakabe began wondering how they would kill all the god candidates, she thought the Great Angel may be powerful enough to do the job once his powers were released. Just then, a skinny ugly loser entered the room, but a masked girl outside took photos of both of them. After forwarding them to Rikuya, he was glad that they've discovered the enemy's base and thought they could finally rescue Rika. Inside Yuri's building, the girls realized that Makoto had recovered, and he told them that he was ready to eliminate their enemies. At the same time, Rika finally woke up, so Kasakabe told him that they were heading out for a special duty. When he wondered what they intend to do, the ugly loser began screaming that they were heading out to annihilate evil for justice. But when Kasakabe silenced him, Rika thought he couldn't possibly be an ordinary angel. Back in Yuri's building, Makoto tried explaining that Mamoru was a smart enemy and that he would only send a few of his men to attack them. But Yuri received a text from Rikuya's team and realized that the enemy's base had been discovered. At the same time, Kasakabe and the 2 men began heading out, but the spy took more photos of them. When Yuri discovered they were heading towards their building, she realized that Makoto was right after all. Just then, Kazuma appeared before them and revealed that he couldn't control the investigator because he already has a master, and that his brain was protected by a strong barrier that stopped him from retrieving any secrets. However, he managed to acquire a new ability and revealed that he can temporarily stop an angel's movement. To put his new ability to the test, Makoto offered to volunteer his body. At that moment, he realized he was born to be a loser and knew he was entirely useless. However, Makoto revealed that his spell actually worked, but that it only managed to stop his movement for a split second. He thought the new ability may come in handy when they battle the enemies, but hoped that Kazuma wouldn't chicken out at the last moment. By the time Kasakabe arrived, Makoto spotted her from a rooftop and realized that she turned him into a masked man. The sight of her useless face made him angry, so as she tried to hurl a canister, he decided to eliminate her, but Yuzuki screamed for his mother, allowing her to dodge the bullet. So immediately, she threw the canister, and as the gas erupted, she hurled more canisters, causing the smoke to block their vision. At that moment, Makoto realized they were screwed, but wondered why he brought the fucking kid in the first place. At the same time, the girls appeared on another rooftop, looking to stop Swimmer and Dai. With Dai nearly pissing himself, he managed to call Mamoru, so he revealed that he would remove his seal, and told him to listen to every single word he says, and began to recite the 7 keywords he used in sealing his powers. But just as he said the last keyword, the phone hit the ground, and a mighty energy launched towards the sky, turning him into the Great Angel. However, Mamoru wasn't done, and decided to tell him that he was responsible for sealing his powers. He continued by saying that he was inside Yuri's building, and asked him to come for revenge. Hearing these words, Dai thought Kazuma was the devil that must be destroyed, and vowed to kill everything evil. As he smacked the ground, they realized he had vanished, but he appeared behind them, and began running towards the building. Ain realized Kazuma was in danger, and ran after him, so Yuri told Mayuko to offer her support. As she ran off, she told Yuri to stay alive no matter what. Just then, she narrowly dodged a vent, and realized that her opponent was the disgusting Swimmer. She remembered that he abducted her brother, and vowed to kill him for revenge. On the other hand, Kasakabe had grown sick from hearing Yuzaki's voice as it continued echoing in her mind. She thought he was familiar, and wondered how she could have known him. Meanwhile, Dai was climbing up the building, but when Makoto tried to end him, he pinched the bullet, thinking he was a veteran hitman that Mamoru had hired to kill him. So he entered the building, and decided to look inside. On the rooftop, Makoto discovered that Kyuon was afraid, and promised to protect her, realizing she was completely useless without him. Back inside the building, as Dai started shoving pizza into his mouth, Ain rushed in and slashed his neck. But he vanished behind her, and revealed that what she saw was actually an afterimage. Desperate to kill him, she continued slashing across his body, but he dodged all of her attacks, making her realize he was no ordinary angel. As he was ready to face off with her, she flew with her sword, but he smacked it, melting off the steel instantly. When he tried to finish her off, he noticed Mayuko behind him, but Ain escaped with the distraction. Just then, Kazuma appeared before him, and Dai thought his worthless face could only make him an evil scientist. So he threatened to destroy him, but Kazuma hoped he would end him first. As he cast the paralysis spell, commanding him to freeze on the spot, energy burst out of him, overwhelming Dai at that instant. But as the girls flew to end him, he managed to break the spell and vanished. When he appeared on a table, his body bruised from their attacks, and Mayuko realized their plan partially worked. However, Kazuma was already exhausted, and Dai thought he was a wizard after all. So to get rid of the nuisance, he flicked a bullet that flew past Ain and pierced Kazuma's body, but she covered the wound immediately. As Mayuko screamed at her to run away, she revealed that she would face off with Dai on her own, so she ran away. However, Mayuko already knew she had no chance alone, and summoned her masked clone for support, wondering how she could defeat him. Her clone told her that there was only one solution, and revealed that she would activate the defragmentation process, hoping it would grant her enough strength to kick his ass. She told her that the process would be completed in 3 minutes, but suggested that she finds a way to stay alive in the meantime. Before she knew it, Dai appeared behind her, but as he smashed the floor, the force smacked her hard into the wall. The impact weakened her body, but her clone revealed that she must endure the rest of his attacks until the process was completed. With Mayuko prepared to fight back, Sashio appeared at that moment, and readied his spear to end Dai. But Mayuko utilized the distraction to escape. Just then, her clone appeared before her, telling her that the defragmentation process would be completed in 2 minutes. Meanwhile, Yuri was shooting at Swimmer, but her bullets could not penetrate his body. At the same time, Mayuko's clone began revealing that the defragmentation process would clear up space inside her memory, and that she would be erased to create a new ability. So as the defragmentation process was completed, a giant mask disintegrated before her eyes, and she realized she would never see her clone again. Meanwhile, Dai had put Sashio's lazy ass to sleep, but as he sensed a new form of energy, he trailed it into the corridor. As he noticed Mayuko's powerful aura, she vanished at that instant, casting clones around him, but he blocked her attack. Mayuko realized she had definitely grown stronger and continued with her onslaught, but he successfully blocked everything, until she retreated. At the same time outside, Swimmer blocked Yuri's blasts and dived into the fog, but as he nearly captured her, she activated her self-strengthening ability instantly and crushed his mask. Without hesitating, she fired at his body and hurried off into the building. On the other hand, Mayuko had grown exhausted, but Dai told her that he was just getting started. Just then, she realized he was wounded and thought her attacks were not useless after all, so she threw her knife out the window to create a signal. But as she jumped outside, she screamed that she was quitting. This was their agreed signal before the battle, and as Makoto recognized it, he directed Kuon towards the sound. So as she managed to pull her shit together, she activated the railgun and launched a blast straight at the building. With Kasakabe in shock, she tried reporting to Mamoru, but Makoto blasted her phone. Just then, she spotted Yuzaki, and her memories of him flashed across her mind, but she managed to leave. Inside the building, as Miyuko was glad to be alive, Dai emerged from the rubble, but she wondered how he f***ing survived. However, he was already wounded, but revealed that he luckily dodged the projectile at the last moment. Even so, he was determined to kill her and prepared to unleash Justice Crush. But Yuri rushed in at that moment and knocked him to the floor. With Dai exhausted, Yuri thought he was better off dead and was ready to kill him, but God teleported her at that instant. It revealed that her ability to control angels have been unlocked, and told her that she was on the same wavelength as the great angel Dai, so she could now control him. Meanwhile, the investigator was spying on them, and as he discovered Yuri was Rika's sibling, he hurried off to report it. At the same time, God told Yuri to seal Dai's powers so that she would dominate him. But she was afraid that he would still remain a threat. As she was ready to end him this time, Sashio appeared at that moment and asked her to spare his life. So as Dai admitted defeat, Yuri decided to seal his powers, turning him back into the skinny, disgusting loser. With the battle finally over, they decided to pay their last respects to Kazuma. And with nowhere else to go, Ain revealed that she would become Yuri's new fighter. That same night after the battle, Mamoru told Rika that he's finally discovered his secret, and threatened to kill Yuri for being his sister. But Rika was already sick of his shit and told him to get lost. The following morning, as Yuri and the others gathered on the rooftop, she was glad that she would finally rescue her brother and hoped they would all return to the real world together. Watch this next video. Till next time, my fellow legendary plot masters.